Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful night. Did you know that when a star is born, they possess a gift or two? One of them is this. They have the power to make a dream come true. So come with us now, as we go on a magical journey through the stars and dream the night.
Hi, this is Jeff Kober, and we welcome you to Disney Insights. The sounds you hear are coming from Disney Starlight, Dream the Night Away, the new parade here at Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. It kicked off its inaugural run with 2 nights of dress rehearsals and an opening on Sunday. This new parade, long awaited and hoped for by Walt Disney World fans, is simply magical. It's not perfect, but it is beautiful and is what has been needed for so long since its ancestors, the Main Street Electrical Parade and SpectroMagic, had long parted. We visit this parade and talk all the details of what makes it work, and at times, maybe not so perfectly work. It's a must-see event at Walt Disney World and a welcome tradition for years to come. My belief is that it's only going to get better over time. So, join us as we review Disney Starlight, Dream the Night Away. By the way, this podcast is produced by myself and Performance Journeys, which offers training, development, and consultant support to organizations, big and small, and to entrepreneurs new and established. With a wide variety of resources and long time in the trench experience, we offer workshops, online learning, coaching, and more to organizations that want to build their teams, raise organizational excellence, improve leadership, and create customer loyalty. Please check us out at performancejourneys.com or just reach out to me. Let's talk about your organization. And please support us by not only subscribing to this podcast, but offering up a rating, review, or perhaps a positive referral to others. Be sure to check out DisneyInsights.com, where we offer key points, photos, videos, links, and more. And then also make sure you check out our YouTube and Facebook page. Also, Disney Insights, you'll want to subscribe to those as well. Well, without further ado, let's talk about the parade. I want to start with kind of an overall thought before we actually go down the float lineup. Let's talk a little bit about this design aesthetic and this approach. There is a difference in the look of this parade than with its predecessors. Perhaps that difference can be found in the title itself, Starlight. It's not the Main Street Parade, but the Main Street Electrical Parade. And SpectroMagic is more about spectro or spectrum, which focuses on color or the creation of color. Paint the Night even suggests doing something physical to the darkness of the night to light it up. Now, I may be reading too much into this, but I notice that many of the floats kind of sit on a bed of stars, so to speak. It does 2 things, I think, intentionally. First, it elevates the floats considerably. For instance, unlike Casey Jr. in the Electrical Parade, it doesn't run along the ground. It kind of floats into the air as if it was soaring through the stars. That creates a different aesthetic than what you see in other nighttime parades. It also elevated the floats considerably, making them much easier to view from rows back in the crowd. And crowds are what you get at Walt Disney World. Just like design changes that were made to Central Plaza to allow thousands more to see the nighttime fireworks, you have the same thing. You have an elevated parade that makes it easier to see from wherever you are in the crowd. Now, with that comes a design set of choices you may or may not like. For instance, there is only one character that is walking on the ground, and surprisingly, that's Tinkerbell. Everyone else is actually on a float. I'm not sure why Tink is the only one and why she's not on a float. I almost feel like that's a budget cut decision. I'll come back to that a little later. But the fact is, characters coming up to the guests, like in the afternoon parade, doesn't occur here. There are some dancers and what I refer to as processionists, but They're not characters. Every character in the parade has lights embedded in them, but they're not light bulbs. They're really little stars. It's a much more subtle design, but it's a design aligned with starlight, not electrical. The contrast in this is especially seen between this parade and Paint the Night, which is an amazing parade in and of itself because they went many different directions in utilizing sources of electrical light in very clever, very different ways. This is not that parade. And the contrast may leave you easily thinking Paint the Night is a much more wow than this parade. But I think it really is a different design choice, and one that may tie more to Happily Ever After, which focuses itself on projection technology, lasers, and of course pyro. In short, Disney Starlights suggests something more organic, as if the stars were the focus and they were coming through the stars, not just light bulbs in a parade. It's much more of a fantasy experience and very at home here in this setting here at Magic Kingdom. Now, if this dialogue is making you miss the old Main Street Electrical Parade or the symphonic sounds of SpectroMagic, take heart. If the Main Street Electrical Parade has an electro-synthetic sound or whatever it was, and SpectroMagic has a more orchestral sound, well, this is kind of a combination of both. The street is playing the sound speakers, which are along the streets and so forth, are playing more of the orchestral, more of the theme of the parade, and each float is playing more of electronic melody that accompanies the music attached to that float. You're kind of getting the best of both worlds here, while generating a new sound of its own. And the finale float is the Baroque Hoedown, which is the title of the song played throughout Main Street Electrical Parade. The experience musically is rich, full, and kind of make you wonder when the vinyl is coming out, or at least when the parade's recording is going to occur on Spotify. It was one of the highlights of being in the parade. The music just worked throughout, and I really enjoyed the sound and the feeling, and it just felt like an evening of joy visiting and seeing this parade. I should say something about our evening logistics. We did go to a dress rehearsal on Saturday night. I was tempted to. There had been no word until 7 p.m. on Friday night that there was a parade. And by then, we had already gone to go see the movie Superman, which was a really great movie. But that's a distraction to this conversation. The reality of it is when we got there Saturday night, by then they had canceled any reservations to any parks for the 2 nights, Friday and Saturday night. It wasn't like they were out of reservations. They canceled having a reservation. If you didn't have one by then, and I had put one in weeks ahead, thinking maybe there might be something on Saturday night of a dress rehearsal. It paid off at 7 p.m. They announced that they were going to have the parade that evening. The thing that was an advantage to us is there were not that many people there in the parks. Most probably were surprised because they're not diehard fans who were expecting a parade. They just came to enjoy the parks. Probably were surprised that something like this was going to happen that evening. And we honestly ended up getting benches on Town Square to be able to see them. And you just don't usually get that. And so it was kind of a different evening experience. And again, there may be changes to this parade that I will talk about because it was a dress rehearsal and because, well, let me just say that there have always been a little bit of changes over the years, particularly Main Street Electrical Parade has made many changes over its evolution. even Paint the Night more recently, there have been some changes depending on which park it was in and so forth. Little subtle things sometimes in the number of characters and so forth. So I'm only talking about what I saw on the night of the dress rehearsal. But what I saw was very impressive and very interesting. And I want to take you through that. And I want to do so as we kind of hear the music and the experience alongside the park. So join me as we actually go through the parade. And at the end, by the way, the podcast, I'm actually going to just allow you to listen to the whole parade without me speaking. So if you just want to listen to all the music at the end, you can do that too. That'll be at the end of the podcast. So without further ado, let's go see the parade, or at least hear it.
Be brave, true, and selfless, and all your wishes may come true.
All right, first off the bat is the lead float, which is the Blue Fairy from Pinocchio, or I should say the Blue Fairy with Pinocchio. This is the definitive callback to Main Street Electrical Parade with its leading Blue Fairy float. But this one is much grander in size and scale and is whimsical with its flow of lights coming. It lays on the, it too kind of almost parts the stars as it comes through. What makes it really interesting is not only do you have this individual playing the Blue Fairy on top, but you actually see both Pinocchio and Geppetto within the scrim of her dress train as she's moving along, making it more exceptional or more unique than before. And we get to hear from the Blue Fairy herself. The next float coming along the way is from Wish. The Disney included their 100th feature film, Wish. It is, in my view, very cool. The float is a little scaled down compared to the others, and the tree seems like it's a little short on top. But Asha speaks to us as she comes down to the street, and we see both her goat friend Valentino. We also see that from within the bark of the tree, Star all animated. Valentino didn't seem to be animated, but that might be an issue with soft opening. I love how the tree leaves, even the whole tree seems to change color. The Wish song is accompanied with this float, and it's probably why this float comes behind the Blue Fairy with its When You Wish Upon a Star song. So it works really well. Then coming down the street, we have the Encanto float. Leading Encanto are 3 to 5 dancers, largely dressed in black, who have a hoist from which extends 8 butterflies lit up above their heads. This might have looked better if we were looking down on them, but instead we're looking up at butterflies. Not much dancing either, more like a procession. However, the float is gorgeous, and Mirabelle is surrounded by a ring of butterflies. Isabelle is riding, swinging, and surrounded by a ring of flowers, and Bruno is in the back. Bruno provides the narrative here, seemingly confused with what's going on. The centerpiece is a very large, very impressive candle that lights from within and rotates, projects from within. It's a very impressive parade. The family madrigal is the sound that accompanies this float. Mirabelle plays along with the maracas. It's just it's a delightful float to witness. From there we go into Frozen, and like in Encanto, we have about 5 dancers. It changes. 3 to 5 dancers are processionists preceding the float. They're carrying lit up diamonds. This is a Frozen 2 float, not a Frozen 1. Doesn't do much to me, and it kind of seems like a last minute add-on. That said, the original work, the original artwork shown a year ago showed the Frozen and Peter Pan were going to be more a part of the initial float. Kind of what we see in Festival of the Fantasy with 3 sets of characters. So it's really great to see a totally unique float. And I have to say the Frozen float is so cool because, well, there is no Anna. There's only Elsa. But from the ice behind her, you see these projections of the characters. Elsa is in her Frozen 2 white dress, similar to the one used in Fantasmic. Pretty much every character, like her, lights up, as I mentioned before. The music seems to go back and forth between Show Yourself and Into the Unknown. And you see a lot of the diamonds on the parade float itself. From here we move to the Princess Cavalcade. Leading that are 3 couples dancing along with their own lights embedded in costumes. Unlike the electrical parade, they're a little more difficult to see as the canopy that is carried above them in the electrical parade isn't to be found. They're intended to look like stars that are dancing, not dancers who are at the ball, so to speak. Music includes Once Upon a Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, Beauty and the Beast, and Bella Evangeline from Princess and the Frog. So you have Sleeping Beauty, Princess and the Frog, Beauty and the Beast, and Cinderella. Of course, the float includes all the princes and princesses. They all look great. The princesses light up as well as the princesses. I have to talk about at some point the predecessor to this entire parade. There's a fountain that glows as it kind of connects the 2 major floats here. This is probably one of the longest floats there is. There are 3 couples after the prince and princess's float with 6 more dancers, very similar to the 3 couples that were prior to the cavalcade. And the whole float, by the way, when they have a particular song, such as Ma Belle Evangeline, it all turns green, or it'll turn blue, or it turns pink. So it all lights up according to the dancer being highlighted during that time. It's a very beautiful float, and in my wife's point of view, it was her favorite float of all the floats in the parade. Well, then from here, we're going to go into Coco. Coco is a bright and ambitious float that you can't help but love. You see Miguel with a guitar at the foot of the Marigold Bridge, leading to the Land of Muertos. Next to him is Dante, his dog, which is as an alebrije, but in bigger form is Pepita, the spirit animal of Mama Imelda, and it's impressive. And it did move at the neck. I didn't see any wing movement, but again, they were in dress rehearsal. Above all of that is a big bienvenidos, and above all that is fireworks. Beyond it lies Mexico City, as seen in the film. The whole of this is impressive. The Coco song here is Remember Me. I might have rather seen Miguel as a face character with face paint rather than a mask character, but make no mistake, there is little to find at fault with this float. The colors are so bright and so beautiful, and the whole thing is delivered really well. From here we move to Moana, and there are about 6 dancers who carry lit up flags, banners to suggest the waves of the sea as the Moana float approaches. Most of these things, they're having things in the air up above you, again, trying to suggest that you can see it from a few feet back. But as for the float is huge and impressive as well, and it carries the movement of the waves. And as we take a look at this, we'll see that Moana is sailing above all of these waves, and Pua and Heihei are both on board her little raft. The sail kind of glows as it comes along the way, and what the predominant songs that plays along with this float is We Know the Way. But the very cool thing is, from within the waves, a stingray comes up and represents the spirit of Grandma Tala. In fact, Grandma Tala is actually the voice you hear on the float, speaking and talking to the princess, and the stingray is really kind of just really cool. Very impressive. It all glows, and the waves of the sea move, and it's just a really beautiful float. Again, this whole starlight thing, everything is so ethereal. From here, Tinkerbell leads the Peter Pan float. The only strange thing is she's walking alongside instead of flying, That there is a separate float for Peter Pan is totally cool, but the design is so similar to the Tokyo Disney Dreaming Up parade that it seems offsetting. In that parade, there is a big band leading the float like here, followed by Wendy and Peter, like there, and then a huge crescent moon that curves over Peter and Wendy. But in the daytime parade at Tokyo, that crescent moon allows wires to suspend both Peter and Wendy so they can fly. So far, I haven't seen this. Again, dress rehearsal may still be occurring, but right now they're just kind of dancing above the float. One of my favorite songs, Second Star to the Right, plays with it. Wendy and Peter speak to each other during the float. You'll always see that there's somebody just in most every float that is speaking to us as we come down the street. The comparisons to the Japanese parade keep coming to my mind, though admittedly not to most people. In that parade, Mary Poppins is floating in front of Big Ben with kites flying around the clock. That would have been cool as well here, but at least they could have put Tinkerbell on that hoist that Mary Poppins used. And again, to see Tinkerbell down there, it was a head scratch. It just feels a little incomplete. But I'm thrilled that it is a separate and complete parade unit as opposed to just a beginning parade attachment, which the original images kind of suggested. Now we get to the finale, Cavalcade. Disney has a train float that brings along this whole finale. On board the train is Pluto and Goofy, Donald and Daisy. Beyond the train is Snow White and Dopey in a minecart, Rapunzel and Flynn in a boat, and Jasmine and Aladdin on a flying carpet. Mickey and Minnie are the last characters we see high up on top, and they're both speaking to us to remind us about stars and wishes and dreams come true. The name of the train character is Whimsy, and he's really a cute animation, but I would have been okay with Casey Jr. being that character. What makes this really wonderful is that, like SpectroMagic, the float changes from a monochrome set of blues and whites into full out color. It is really beautiful, though not as long as the finale train that made up SpectroMagic, nor are there as many characters in this finale scene. What you do hear is the parade's song with this float, which is, as I mentioned earlier, the Baroque hoedown from Main Street Electrical Parade. Very nice, very suitable for a finale. Moreover, following this float, you have a final banner kind of float where if you look on the backside, the front side says Disney Starlight. The backside has Jiminy Cricket, which can be found in animated form. This, having Jiminy Cricket, harkens back to SpectroMagic, where he played kind of the role of the narrator in that particular film. So look for Jiminy on the backside, kind of floating around in the starlight with his umbrella. Very cool, and a very cute little ending to what is a beautiful little parade. Let me summarize and offer some additional thoughts to all this. In a previous podcast, I mentioned that a parade like this can have about 50 performers total. And in truth, we had some 60. I predicted there would be 30 Disney character appearances, and the parade actually gave us 33, plus Jiminy Cricket and Star in animated forms. That compares to 26 characters in the Electrical Parade, depending on which version of the show you saw. And in SpectroMagic, there were actually 45, though that included 5 ostriches, not the Spectrum Men, but 5 ostriches. Conversely, I predicted 24 to 30 dancers, and we had 27, but most were marching, not dancing. They really didn't do much to the parade, and I think I would have rather seen more characters marching along the side, but again, that may have been a design aesthetic choice to better allow everybody to see the experience, no matter where they were standing or sitting along the parade route. And by the way, Paint the Night is one of the most amazing parades, and Disney fans who have seen it compare it to that. Compare all things to that. They actually only have about 18 Disney Pixar characters. By the way, this is an interesting thing about this parade. Every float except for Coco was a Disney float. Paint the Night is much more a balance maybe even a little heavier toward Pixar. But they only have 18, whether it's Disney or Pixar characters, they only have 18. They have way more dancers, and those dancers have very impressive costumes lighting things up that make what we have here not interesting. Conversely, some of their floats are, as I mentioned earlier, like Cars, Monsters Incorporated, Toy Story. Some of they are really very impressive how they have used light and lighting fixtures for Paint the Night. Others, the Princess, Beauty and the Beast, Mickey segments, I think are kind of meh. Depending on the parade version, they have about 76 performers. So that shows you the real delta. It's in the dancers where they have so many, because they only have 18 and we have far many more Disney characters. But they do have a lot of dancers in Paint the Night. I've always wanted just more Disney characters, not more dancers. But, and again, your particular taste may vary to this. At any rate, Disney Starlight builds on wonderful facets of both Main Street Electrical Parade and SpectroMagic. It remembers really well its own heritage. And that's really one of the things I just love about this. I want to harken back to the Prince and Princess float, for instance, which, again, has similarities to the Electrical Parade. You should know that, most people know that the predecessor to the Main Street Electrical Parade, done at Disneyland 72 and then in 77, I believe, at Disney World, is the Electrical Water Pageant. You know that because it's out there on the Seven Seas Lagoon every night. But the predecessor to the Electrical Water Pageant was a show called Disney on Parade. Now, I have talked about this in previous podcasts. This thing, it was like Disney on Ice, but it was a traveling stage show, not an ice show. And it was originally produced by Bob Janney, who then brought in the pageant, Electrical Water Pageant, and then created the Electrical Parade after that. He is especially known for those two things, but previous to that, he created Disney on Parade. Why this Disney on Parade traveling show that went from one city to another matters is that in the original edition of this show, they had a whole sequence around the story of Cinderella. And in that story, at the finale, Cinderella and all the dancers lit up in the closing number. And this is the first time I know of where the concept of dancers or characters lighting up in a Disney production began. So now you follow from Disney on Parade to the Electrical Water Pageant, to Main Street Electrical Parade, to SpectroMagic, to Paint the Night, now to Disney Starlight, Dream the Night Away. There's a lot of heritage embedded in all this. And of course, the characters and the stories told, there's a lot of heritage in that because, well, they tell the stories of Disney. Just the fact that it begins with the Blue Fairy knows that you are going into an experience which recalls all that we love about Disney, no matter how many decades we go back. Any rate, all that said, I think this is a wonderful addition to the Magic Kingdom and seems perfect for what follows or precedes Happily Ever After. Now, we talk about Paint the Night at Disneyland, but you got to remember, no Disneyland fireworks, as nice as they are and as cool as some of the things they do, none of them come to compare with what Disney does with Cinderella Castle at the Magic Kingdom. And so with this and Happily Ever After, it's a two-punch wow. I should also note that Tokyo's fireworks are disappointing, so that even though they have the best electrical parade with dream lights, it is grand, long, and glorious. It's not really, their fireworks at night are really kind of disappointing. And so I think if you were to combine the two, you get the best combination when you visit here at the most magical place on earth. At least those are my thoughts. You come onto our Facebook page and share your thoughts about seeing the parade and let us know what you think. And make sure you check out, I have not only the full parade on YouTube, but I also have a 30-second edition if you don't have much time to see it all. So 30 seconds or the full edition, either way. Any rate, that concludes our podcast for Disney Insights today. If you want to visit Disney, and I hope you do after thinking about this and hearing about this parade, check out Zenola Travel. David and Leah know Disney in ways few do and can make your next trip on land or sea an exciting one, or at least maybe a little less stressful. There is no charge to utilize their services, but it will save you enormous time in getting all the details right. And with their insight, you can be assured you're going to experience the best trip possible. So contact them. Be sure to check out our Patreon group, the Wayfinders Society, and also available on Amazon books from that I have written about Disney, Disney Leadership in You, The Wonderful World of Customer Service at Disney. We talked about Heritage, Disney Insights 100, the Walt and Roy Disney Years, and even my business book, Lead with Your Customer. Check them out on Amazon. The links are in the show notes or on DisneyInsights.com. Also, again, if you are looking for help and support in your organization to take it to the next level, looking for a keynote speaker in your next conference, workshop, seminar, we do workshop seminars, we do keynotes, consulting, work to coach and support organizations or individuals, and provide a lot of classroom, online, and other support resources. So check us out at performancejourneys.com. Well, finally, thanks for joining us for this podcast. Know that as in the title of Performance Journeys, it's as much about the journey as it is about performance. Find the second star to the right and keep going straight on till you reach it. Follow the compass of your heart and know that with a smile and a song, a little faith, effort, and pixie dust, your dreams can come true. After all, if we can dream it, we can do it. Until next time, bright suns. We'll see you real soon.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this wonderful night. Did you know that when a star is born, they possess a gift or two? One of them is this. They have the power to make a dream come true. So come with us now, as we go on a magical journey through the stars and dream the night.
May come true.
Good evening, dear friends. Come with me on a magical journey kissed by starlight. By virtue of starlight and all that is good.
Do you think everyone's wishing upon a star right now? Are you? Then go on, make a wish. I wish. Oh. Where'd you go? Now, look at that. I'm gonna wish on a star, and a star answered me.
I'm having a vision. When families embrace the magical world, the magic will grow in the families embrace. Go on, go on. You can do it's getting brighter. That's the real gift.
to be up here among the stars.
Yup, it's a wish